Nah, I'm not gonna watch Miss Marvel. It's a Disney Channel show, and I'm too cool and too male to watch a kids show. Well, that final few minutes of this week's episode of Miss Marvel made those statements completely ridiculous. There's a lesson here. If you're not gonna watch something because you're not interested, just say that. Because making claims on a show you haven't seen always come back to bite you. Hello and welcome to the Review of Champions. It's time to talk about Miss Marvel's episode 4, Seeing Red. And with me is Mr. Taylor first. That's it. Hi, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Oh, me too. um, Before we start, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button and maybe join our forum on Sakar, sakar.freeforums.net. It's a nice community full of great fans. We would love it if you join us. Sign up, join the conversation, and if you want, you can be on the show. There's plenty of room, as you can see today. We're going to talk spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, go check it out first and then come back to the video. Taylor, what did you think about this week's episode of Miss Marvel?
It was a good episode. Overall, again, every episode of this show so far has been good, but I haven't seen great yet, in my opinion, and we'll get into the details of that. But like I said, it's good. The action, every action scene so far in this show has been very good and very entertaining. The characters are all good, at least for the most part. All the main characters are good so far. And I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah, me too. I do think it's great, but I have been a fanboy of this show since the beginning, so it's not a real big surprise. But I can see why you say what you say. I understand it. We will get into the details later, and I probably have to agree with you on the most of it. Yeah, I loved it that we went to a completely different environment this week, to Pakistan, Karachi. And the thing that I love the most about the Miss Marvel show, it shows us the world of Muslims in a totally different way than it's usually portrayed in Western media, if I may say so. And it's interesting to see a different side, and that's what I absolutely love about it. But that's me. However, we do need to get to some kind of how to say plot, and because it just keeps going, but there's not really much development to me. There's a mystery there, but we need some more clues. But anyway, that's my initial thoughts. What were the negative things for you in this show, in this episode?
Well, I mean, like you touched on, I mean, I like the different location too, but I mean, there's just so much focus on it, if you know what I mean. And the stuff you mentioned about showing Muslim culture, that's all great, but am I watching a superhero show or a documentary on Pakistani culture? Because there's just so much time being devoted to it all, you know? And that's fine. I like Pakistani culture. I love learning about different cultures, but I'm also looking for a Marvel superhero show when I tune in here to Ms. Marvel. The other thing is they just seem to keep spinning. They just seem to keep adding stuff. She's got, what has she got, a third love interest now? So it's no longer a love triangle. Now it's a love square.
Yeah.
You know, and then, okay, they added damage control. Great. That's from the comics. Awesome. Then they added the Jinn. They're the bad villains. Great. Now we've got villains. Now they've added this group of vigilantes, whoever they are, in Pakistan with Red Dagger and his mentor and everything. Okay, they're here too. What are they all going to do? Do something.
That's it. I mean, of course, we get those last few minutes I was talking about earlier in my opening statement, which. But I have the feeling that that we will spend the whole next episode on the backstory that's been hinted a few times, where Aisha, Kamala's grandmother, got lost during partition, the last train, etc., and that the Trail of Stars brought her back to her father, which is all. At least to me, it's now quite obvious. It's going to be Kamala herself that brings her grandmother back to her father, to her great grandfather. Then, yeah, something like that. So.
Oh, really? That's an interesting thought. I didn't even think about that, because I was. So you're thinking that she's actually gone back in time?
Yeah, or you think it's
Okay.
an illusion, or
Yeah, I thought it was like a vision,
a vision.
like a vision of the past, not something that she would actually interact with or be able to change. Or maybe, well, like you said, she's not actually going to change it. She,
yeah,
the endless circle of time travel. She was there in the first place.
Yeah, she's always meant to go back in. At least that's how it feels
could go
to me.
either way.
But I think because the Trail of Stars was mentioned so far, and of course Kamala can conjure up those heart lights, which may be the Trail of Stars her grandmother was talking about. So
that makes sense. Okay, that does make sense. And I find it interesting, that they've picked obviously the pivotal moment in Pakistani history, the creation of the country itself.
Yeah,
it was from India.
Yeah,
which that's fine. Obviously, that's going to have a great impact on all Pakistani families throughout generations. So that's very cool that they're using that. Again, they keep trying to force in political stuff here and there, and I know that pretty much everything that comes out of Hollywood these days does that. But a couple of times they've mentioned the British, and okay, we can talk for days about the impact of British colonialism, the long-term impact of British colonialism on India and Pakistan. But
on the world.
It wasn't the British that partitioned the country. All right, it was the Muslims and the Hindus who couldn't stop killing each other that decided to partition the country when the British left, and they continue to kill each other in their various wars since then. And it's not the British who are pointing nuclear weapons at India today. It's the Pakistanis and vice versa. Okay, so the British can be blamed for a lot, but the implication twice on this show now is that the British are somehow responsible for all the pain related to the partition. And, indirectly you can say they are historic, because of the impact of the years of colonial. But again, trying to watch a superhero show here, not a historical drama or a historical documentary on, Pakistani history. So I'm glad that they've gone back to her culture, her country, her native country. She wasn't born there, apparently. She was born in the States, but her family's country. And they've used that pivotal moment, which of course is key to the culture and to the history of her and her people and her family. That's all great, but let's get to it. Let's get to the superhero stuff here. And she's and again, I love the action scenes. The action scenes have all been really well done. But again, it's like, she has an action scene with this person. She meets this group and has an action scene with that group, and then she meets this group and has an action scene with this guy, and then and then there's the chemistry with this guy, and then there's the chemistry with that guy, and now there's the chemistry with this guy. Okay. Yeah. Enough build up. Let's go.
Yeah, I absolutely know what you mean. I don't mind it that much, but I have to agree with what, like I said before, I will probably have to agree with your criticism, and I do. I just don't mind it. I'm a sucker for slow moving movies like Once Upon a Time in the West. I'm not comparing this to that masterpiece, not even close, but it's moving at a slow pace, and yeah, the action it feels a bit all over the place. There's no the jinns somehow show up every other half hour, and then there's a fight, and then Kamala basically gets away without winning. Actually, they throw a few punches, and then something happens that she leaves the scene. Like now, she seems to be going back in time. I read something. Maybe the bangle is from Cree origin, probably because of the blue arm it was taken off. We saw that in the beginning of episode 3. And maybe it's the Kree way of traveling through the quantum realm. I don't know, but that would be a distinct possibility. So that's how Kamala travels through time.
That's one of the reasons I didn't think it was going to be actual time travel, but like you said, it may very well be. But I just thought that would kind of open up a whole can of worms with what we saw in Endgame and the rules of time travel. Of course, it doesn't really matter. It's only wonks like us that get into those details.
Yeah.
There's a different way to time travel. There's a different way to time travel. Who cares?
We have Agents of Shields for some people among us. I won't name or shame anyone, but that is canon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we have Fitz distinctly saying that time travel is not possible. I think in season 4, and then in season 5 they're going to time travel. So it's TV, people. It's suspension of disbelief, and
right.
So
So again, it could very well be time travel, and that's fine. And I agree with you. I've only seen the latest episode once, and I enjoyed it. But I'm trying to remember the guy she met, who she had the action scene with. I can't remember his name. I guess they call him Red Dagger, or his group is called Dagger. I can't remember which. But I'm not sure why he attacked her in the first place, and why they had to have a fight. Why didn't he just talk to her? But it was a good scene.
Yeah, absolutely, and I absolutely like how they do the action scene, and the whole thing. She can shape the Noor, as they call it, and I think it's a nice change from the power she has in the comics. I mean, Marvel has done that before. They change it up a bit, so it's also fresh for the people who know the comics. So I think that's a good thing, actually. Of course. They can still make it about her being inhuman if they want to, because they leave that hanging in the balance, especially with the fact that it's a Kree bangle, which unlocks powers within her. So it's quite easily to make a twist. So she is inhuman. So nobody can really complain, at least in my eyes. So no, I really enjoyed the episode for what it was. Kamala is definitely trying to find out what's going on with her and her family history, and I think and of course what's going on with the clandestines. But I do feel, however, that that story with the jinns and stuff and the clandestines is a bit like it's a vehicle to show a lot of ordinary life, and like you say, it's a superhero show. So at a certain moment, we need to get started with superheroing.
Right.
Yeah.
I realized that when she went to the secret hideout, which, like you said, wasn't very secret. The Jinn found it pretty darn easy. But when she did go to that secret hideout and they did the exposition about the different dimensions. Now, I don't know if dimensions and universes are the same thing at this point, if we're talking about the multiverse or if we're talking about something else when we talk about dimensions. But I'm glad they gave us a little bit of more explanation about that, about how these different dimensions exist. And is this similar to the dimension that Shang-Chi went to in China? Is that another version of these different dimensions? I don't know. Well, but I did like the scene, how they showed it, and how they showed if it crosses, it would destroy the world. So that gives us some focus of why she has to do this.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Shang-Chi, because the 10 rings were spotted in the in episode 3 in the temple where they found the bangle in the, and well, we have the Marvels coming up. Captain Marvel was in the mid-credit scene for Shang-Chi. I do have the feeling there's something connecting there, and I don't know if it's the same dimension like Talo, where the village where Shang-Chi went for the battle with the Soul Eaters, but I do feel there's some kind of connection there. So
and there is some similarities between the superpowers, the 10 rings, bracelets, and her bangle bracelet. Now the powers aren't exactly the same, but there's certainly some similarity between those two objects that grant superpowers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think it's a coincidence those 10 rings show up, and and that we get kept the Marvels coming up with Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau and of course Captain Marvel. So I have the feeling there's a connection. I don't know if Simu Liu is shooting the movie right now for Marvel, but
He will be at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be getting some news here in the near future about upcoming events that we don't know about yet here in Comic-Con and D23 are coming up.
So I believe Marvel Studios is going to San Diego Comic-Con and doing a
Yes,
whole age presentation. And Kevin Feige has said that the bigger picture for Phase 5 is becoming clear pretty soon. So in the next few weeks, probably, I don't know when San Diego Comic-Con is, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that.
I think it's 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. We will get some new shows and new movies, release dates maybe. We get a clearer picture because basically after the Marvels, which is it the Marvels or something like that? July next year, we don't know anything. So that's pretty short actually. So,
yeah.
How would you rate episode 4 for Miss Marvel?
Well, again, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 because again, the action is good, the acting, I like the locations, I like the way the whole show is shot, the cinematography, the filming. I like the characters. The best thing for me, the very best thing about this show is, and I forgot her name, Iman, whoever playing Kamala Khan. Okay, the star is the best thing about this show so far. She is terrific. She's just so charismatic, and she just has such a great presence and personality that comes through interacting. So that's good. And then the way she interacts with all of her family members is also a great part of this show. But you're really excited to see what happens here in these last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I hope episode 5 and 6 give us a little bit more action and a little bit more story, actually, because it's just, yeah, I don't need to see a teenage life. I've seen that a lot in my life. Yeah. I've been a teenager for crying out loud a long time ago. I also rate this episode an 8 out of 10. I still think it's great, but yeah, there really needs to be a shift in tone and tempo and everything. But I can't hate on the show or be too critical because, yeah, I really enjoy it. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not hating on the show at all.
No. But we are both of an age where we can separate distinct hating on something or be critical of something. And I think our critique is minor.
Yes.
Yes. So, okay. We're going to do a lightning round. Basically, I'm just going to ask some silly questions to maybe do a little deeper dive even in the episode. So, and
okay.
Well, the first one is about Walid. Do you think he's really dead?
Walid was the mentor of
the Red Dagger.
Whatever,
and
yes.
In the comics, I think he's the mentor of Kamala as well.
Oh, okay. I was actually hoping that he really was dead, just so that someone in the Marvel Universe would actually die and be dead. I think that there's way too much of coming back to life.
You don't know.
No one ever dies. I'm gonna vote for he's dead.
Okay. Well, yeah.
It will be.
Okay, it was a short and sweet introduction. Well, I know you're a sucker. I know you're a sucker for costumes and outfits and stuff like that when it comes to superhero stuff, and you are highly critical of the way those outfits do not show up in the MCU or do not show enough. They don't show them enough. Well, I have the feeling we know the iconic shot from the comic cover with Kamala on the street lantern with the scarf flying.
Yes.
It's coming, and it looked really authentic. Do you like the way they slowly seem to build to her costume? She's picking up pieces of that left and right, and that's obvious thing that's going on.
Yes. Yes. I actually don't have a problem with that. Okay. They are building up to it. We've already seen the ultimate costume, which is very comics accurate, and that's what I like. And it's only 6 episodes. We're only four episodes in, so it's not like they're taking forever, years like they did with Scarlet Witch's costume or something like that. So yeah, I have no problem with it. And I do like how she's getting this piece here and this piece here. So she's got the mask and then the scarf, and now the red
The
under
vest,
and the
yeah.
the vest. So yeah, no, I'm having no problem with that because I know that it's going to end up by the end of this show where she's going to have a real costume.
And it also symbolizes, I think, her journey from becoming a regular teenage girl to a superhero. The moment she has her outfit, I think she's becoming a full-fledged superhero. I want to take a bet. I don't know if you want to bet against me, but I think the final shot of episode 6 is going to be the iconic pose of Kamala Khan on the street lantern with her scarf flying in the wind. That's going to be the final shot of the show. I'm willing to bet good money on that.
That is probably right. I'm not going to take the bet on that one.
Okay, well, too bad. Standard bets on Sakar are $10. No pun intended. Yes, it was. Okay. To me, one of the most interesting relationships in the whole show is the one between Kamala and her mother. And I think we got a major development in this episode where Kamala's mom, Muniba, actually realizes that she has copied the relationship that she had with her mother towards her daughter. And maybe she realizes that that's not possible because Kamala is not living in Pakistan, but in America. So there's a difference there. Or am I seeing too much, reading too much in this? I think that's a little scene at the kitchen table there where they're eating taffy or toffee or whatever you call it, is quite important in that relationship.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, and I think that the relationship with her mother is been a very good part of the series so far. Her mother, of course, being of 2 worlds, and Kamala being of 1 world, and now being introduced not just to her family's old world, but these other Marvel Universe worlds. But the relationship remains solid. I loved how at the very beginning of this episode they were on an airplane headed for Pakistan. I'm glad that we didn't get a bunch of hemming and hawing, because the last scene of the previous episode was the grandmother saying, "You and your mother need to come to Pakistan." I'm so glad that we didn't get an argument from her mother, that they got on a plane and they went.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows the relationship between Kamala and her mother, and Kamala's grandmother is strong. I was also surprised when they got there, the grandmother's home and how the family lives. They appear to be fairly affluent people there in Pakistan, and they're not living in poverty or anything. They went to a fancy restaurant with a dress code, and no one told Kamala you can't wear jeans to it. Just a little bit of the learning the culture.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I do a little bit of speculation here. I have a feeling that in episode 5, we get like something like Kamala saving her grandmother as a child, and then going back somehow through the quantum realm or whatever it is back to the present day, and that she has a coming out towards her mother and her grandmother about having these powers, and then it will have like a healing moment between the 3 generations of women. I can totally see that happening, and then episode 6 is going to be a big finale set in New York or New Jersey.
I just hope when they're having that scene where the 3 of them come together, it doesn't end with the Jinn crashing through the window again. And another big fight. Where they just escape. But yeah, no, I think you're on the right track. That's a very likely scenario. That'll happen in the next episode, and then the big finale back in Jersey.
Mm-hmm. So. I also have a feeling that there won't be much healing between Kamala and Nakia in this show anymore. I think Nakia and Kamala will stay a little bit distanced from each other. They will save that for another day. Because
it's possible. I could see it going either way. I could see them coming back together at the end of episode 6, or them putting that off to later. Because we know she's going to be around for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, she's the new Tom Holland, no doubt. Well, I don't know if you have any more to unpack about this episode.
I want to mention one thing, not specifically about this episode. Kamala's powers in the comics. A lot of people compare them to Reed Richards, and they are very similar, but they're not exactly the same. Her power is not that she can stretch like she's made out of rubber. Her specific power is that she can make any part of her body larger, which is really weird when you think about it. She can make her hands really big. And of course, now she uses the light power to make a simulated hand, big fist, go out and hit. But I'm really glad they changed that, because that really wouldn't translate really well. She could make her legs really long, but it's not like stretching them. It's just making them bigger and longer and stuff. So that would have been really difficult to translate. So I think Marvel made the right decision there. And I think the power set they've given her so far has worked really well.
Yeah. You also have the feeling that moment in the hideout where she like shaping the Noor in front of Walid, and I think his name was Kareem. Is like a moment where she truly takes control of her powers. Of course, she's going to expand on that. We have seen some shots in the trailer we haven't seen yet in the show, but it does feel like she is now more in control of her powers.
Yeah, she definitely seems to be getting better, more control of her powers and expanding her powers.
So in the end, we're going to get like a convergence of her becoming truly Miss Marvel. She also is still searching for a superhero name, as you know. So everything will come together in that last episode, I no doubt.
Something in between Nightlight and Sloth Baby, but we're going to come up with Miss Marvel.
Yeah, we already know all that, of course. Well, I would like to eat some spicy foods on the beach, by the way. That looked cool.
Yes.
Sit there with friends and a guitar and a fire.
Yeah, that did look like a lot of fun. Just a side note, in Ms. Marvel, we know it's going to be Kamala and Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau. What is Monica Rambeau's superhero name again? Do you
Photon,
remember?
I guess.
Or Spectrum? She's going to take her mother's call sign is going to be her superhero name?
Well, that was super heavily hinted, of course, in WandaVision, but it could also be Spectrum, I guess.
Oh, Spectrum, was that the other one? So they haven't actually officially given her a name yet, I guess.
Not that I know.
Okay, and that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Well,
so the movie's coming up then, like you said. Of course, we've got Thor: Love and Thunder just a week away.
Yeah.
And then we've got Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, coming in November.
What's next after that? Is it Guardians of the Galaxy or?
No, we first get Quantumania, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think Quantumania and the Marvel switch places. So Quantumania comes in February, and then we get Guardians 3, and then the Marvels.
Okay.
I can check while we are talking.
And then, while you're checking that for shows, of course, the next show is She-Hulk.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what's after that.
That will be next month. So, yeah. Let's just say, to make it clear, next week, of course, we're going to get Thor: Love and Thunder. Then the second week of November is going to be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. February 17 is going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. May 5th is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And then July 28th next year is going to be the Marvels.
Okay.
And we have, of course, a Fantastic Four and Blade that has been basically confirmed, but we don't know when they're going to release yet. The Captain America sequel, Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson, is in the works. Apparently, same goes for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings sequel. And of course, the Thunderbolt has been sort of announced that it's coming. Deadpool 3, supposedly also in the MCU, is coming somewhere, but we don't know when. X-Men, or Mutants at least, are coming as well. So when that will happen and how, we will have to wait and see. Until now, the only mutant we saw was in Multiverse of Madness, and he died pretty quickly. And I don't think they will bet on Patrick Stewart staying around for another 10 to 15 years to play Xavier. So
that was an alternate universe.
Exactly. So that role will be recast if they're going to use Charles Xavier in the MCU. We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. That will conclude our review for episode 4 of Ms. Marvel Scene Red. Before we finish, I would like to ask you to hit that subscribe button and notification bell on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page. Join the forum on sakar.freeforums.net. I cannot say that enough. That way, you will never miss us, and we won't have to miss you. Bye.